Hello everyone. I've been away for a week or so, but I'm back and I want to actually try to get a video done today and another one done tomorrow. This one is using one of our new Framelit dies, and I really love them. They come packaged in a set of, and I've already done some cutting here. So there's a set of, let's just pop out the one I did. There's a set of 1, 2, 3, 4 Framelits when you buy the package. And so you have quite a few choices. You have two label ones that I love. You have a wider one, and you have the large, kind of a flourish kind of version that I really love that we're going to use today. And as you can see, they can stack inside each other, which is something kind of cool. You kind of stuck to this paper, and you can see you can stack them inside of each other. So I actually like this big one with the little one stacked inside. But really great Framelit dies. What I've done in advance is I've taken the big one and I've popped out a few of those just for practice. But I'm going to use this in the card today. The technique I'm going to cover today is watercoloring with markers. And this is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be watercoloring, and the second part is going to have another technique called paper piercing. So hang in there for part 2. So I'm just going to take one of these out, put it on the side, and I've pulled out a stamp that I love. This is one of our larger two-sided stamps, so it's got stamps on both sides. It's called Inspired by Nature, one of my all-time favorites. It's still in the catalog, and I'm so happy because I love it. And what we're going to do with this stamp is, I'm just going to wipe some of the dust off. If your stamps get dusty, and mine do because I actually put them on the wall, they're not in their case, especially the older ones. The case actually, keeping them in their packaging helps to keep them dust free, by the way. But I like to display mine on the wall. So take some Stampin' Up! Markers, and you can get them in a beautiful set with every single color right through our catalog. I'm going to use a few colors here. So let's start with the bright colors. So I'm going to start with, this is Summer Starfruit. So it's one of our ink colors. And I'm just going to take that along kind of like a diagonal half, and I hope you can see this really well, diagonal half of the top of each flower. Just a little bit of that. And then I'm going to take my next bright color, which is Pumpkin Pie, and I'm going to put just like a stroke of that right next to there. But then I'm also going to take that Pumpkin Pie and I'm going to bring it along the entire bottom of each flower. You can see I'm just literally drawing right onto the stamp. And I'm using the side of the marker as opposed to the point. Too much pressure on the point of your markers is not really a good idea. So I'm just coloring the bottom of the flower. And then I'm going to take a slightly darker orange, which is Tangerine Tango, and I'm going to color the tips right over what I colored already. With the markers, you don't have to worry too much about contamination. You can actually color on top of a different marker. Just be careful that you don't color maybe dark. You don't mix your colors directly too much. And then I'm going to take soft suede, and wherever I hadn't finished that top of the flower, I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to get the edges with the soft suede too. Just the edges of the top of the flower, because if you look, you can see that it has a little bit of, I guess, lines on it to make it look really much like the top of a flower. I'm going to take a dark green, and I'm using Garden Green, and I'm going to do the large stem, one of the leaves of the smaller one, and the leaf over here. And how you decide to do this is really not that important. The second green that I'm using is Wild Wasabi, which is my favorite green, and I will do the rest of the leaves with that. What I like to do when it comes to leaves is I like to mix greens. To me, it gives the impression that it's fading color. Okay, now I'm going to smooch spritz this with Smooch, and I'm going to just pull it away from the camera so you don't get sprayed, and I'll be right back. And I'm giving an even pressure. Now this is basic white paper as opposed to watercolor. That really stamped down. Now when I laid it down, this is thin, right? So you can see the whole stamp is not going to fit on there, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. And there we go. So there is our flower, watercolor stamped, using Smooch and markers. Okay, we're going to do this again. Okay, we're going to do it one more time, and this time we're going to do it with some blue markers, just so you can see again the technique. Okay, and now I'm going to use blue instead. So I'm going to start with my blue, and this blue happens to be Marina Mist. FYI, Marina Mist is one of my favorite blues. And then for the bottom of each flower, I am using a darker blue, which is Pacific Point, and I'm just doing like the tips and edges of the flower. Again, just for some variety. I like contrast just because nature has a lot of contrast. And then up at the top of the flower, I'm going to use the soft suede mostly, with a little bit of that tangerine tango that we used before, just a little bit. So this one won't be as bright as the other at the top. And then I'm going to take the greens that we used before and use them to color my leaves. I'm going to use both greens as I color so that I again have variance in the shades. And the way you make sure that you've got everything colored is when you hold it up, it looks like wet ink all over it. Okay, I'm gonna go smooch it. Smooched it so that it is not soaking wet but damp all over. And then again, and I know you're wondering, why are you coloring the whole stamp when it doesn't all fit? I do it because I can't worry about that while I'm stamping. So I'm gonna stamp down. And again, you can see that there's not the whole stamp, just like before. This is the one we did before. You don't see the whole flower, and that's fine. And there's the blue one. So, and this one came out a little bit lighter in some areas because I didn't push down as hard, that's all. So you'll find that the pressure that you use as you stamp is going to make a big difference. So come back for part 2 and we're going to finish up this card.